Welcome to Jeremy Studios. We make awesome stories. Listen and enjoy this masterpiece of action. Like and subscribe for more from our channel. When Christopher Columbus first set foot on the land that would become America, history recorded the birth of a nation. But in the shadows, something else was born: an elite, covert organization built to protect the government not just from outside threats, but from within. Their mission: counter-espionage, neutralize terrorism, manipulate global markets, influence elections, sponsor proxy wars, quietly dismantle regimes and topple African governments overnight. An agency operating above and beyond the system and even the government itself. To keep the operation buried deep beneath layers of secrecy, the founders knew they needed an army, not one that could be recruited, but raised, molded, owned. It began with a controversial solution. Liam George, one of the original architects of the project, proposed the creation of a maternity hospital affront. Here, newborn twins were taken from unsuspecting mothers under the pretense of tragic complications during childbirth. The parents were never the wiser, grief-blinded and broken. One twin vanished into the system. The other was returned. Those taken were enrolled into a brutal training program that began at the age of 5. They were molded into perfect weapons: silent, lethal, and obedient. By adulthood, they were the most feared assassins the world never knew existed. But the deception went even deeper. The grown assassins returned to the very place they were taken, the hospital, this time as doctors, cloaked in white coats and trussed, hiding in plain sight. Every assassination contract passed through the Board of Shadows, which handpicked operatives like chess pieces on a global board. The world kept turning, never knowing that behind the glass doors of a quiet hospital on 24th Avenue, Manhattan, the future of nations was decided. Act 1, The Betrayal Codex. Rule 1 of the Assassin's Guild: never associate with the family or group of your mark. Rule 2: never question the dossier. October 17, 2024. Jack broke both. The 6 deadliest killers in the world moved like shadows through Sullivan Jose's compound, a human trafficking empire disguised as a refugee camp. The dossier called it a cleanse. The mission was to eliminate the Mexican cartel boss, his entire operation, and neutralize the situation. Jack, the agency's apex predator, a living legend with a kill count that dwarfed armies. Jane, his bonded partner, a razor-edged ghost with a personal vendetta against female traffickers. For more elite reapers: John and Ariana Bond pair, Donald and Martha Bond pair. 6 assassins against 500 henchmen. They painted the walls with blood. Jane put a bullet between Sullivan's eyes before he could speak. No interrogations, no mercy, no debate. But when Jack breached the upstairs suite, he found something the dossier never mentioned: a child. 9-year-old Marcus, a tech prodigy, trembling behind a laptop filled with damning truth. Sullivan wasn't a trafficker. He was a whistleblower, exposing government-sanctioned atrocities. The trafficking ring? A black ops lie. And the order burned in Jack's neural implant: terminate all witnesses, including the boy. The agency knew he hesitated. When the others closed in, their comms crackled with grandfather's voice: Jack's compromised. Execute him. For assassins drew their weapons. For bodies hit the floor. Only Jane stood between Jack and the exit. A single shot hit his left shoulder, not his heart. Before he vaulted through shattered glass, Marcus was in his arms. By dawn, the agency's cleanup team scrubbed the scene of fingerprints or DNA that could to any further investigations. The news spun it as a cartel war. But one FBI agent wasn't buying it. And grandfather? He'd spent 20 years forging Jack into the perfect weapon. At the age of 12, Jack had the military capacity of a U.S. Marine. A super soldier was what he was called in the war fronts behind enemy lines. At 16, he was deployed with Marines to Afghanistan. His pistol could down a chopper at 10,000 feet. His bullet was rumored to have killed Osama bin Laden. Now, that weapon was pointed back at him. The old man activated Protocol Phoenix, summoning every elite killer left on the grid, because Jack had seen the truth. And the Guild's 200-year empire wouldn't fall to one man, even if that man was their greatest creation. The game of shadows had begun. Jack had been operating undercover in the country for over 5 months, completely off the agency's radar. His wounds, sustained during his last mission, had finally healed thanks to the care of an elderly rural woman who had recently lost her son, a fallen soldier. She took Jack in, nursing him back to health. While recovering, Jack trained using her son's old weights, regaining his strength. To the woman, Jack was a painful but comforting reminder of her only child, one who had sacrificed his life defending the nation's sovereignty. She'd patched his bullet wounds with wartime remedies, fed him stories of her son, a soldier who died defending a border nobody cared about. Jack lifted rusted weights in her barn, muscles coiling like steel cables, while her eyes misted with borrowed grief. "You fight like him," she'd say. "But your war's darker." As Jack regained his footing, he reached out to the son of the late Sullivan, Jose, a computer genius. Sullivan had once been a loyal agent, only to be murdered by the very organization he served. Now, his son agreed to help Jack hack into the agency's network, locate their files, and uncover how to bring down the elusive syndicate. But the moment Jack stepped back into the city, the assassin network sensed his presence. Every shadow operative began hunting him. Meanwhile, the syndicate's enigmatic leader, known only as Grandfather, had been working on a sinister new form of control, a neural chip implanted into the brains of the agency's assassins. Designed to override free will, the chip gave the board full command over the agent's decisions. These chips were secretly embedded during what operatives thought were routine physical therapy sessions before their graduation into the shadows. The new generation of assassins, still in beta phase, had no idea their autonomy was gone. FBI agent Bruce, disturbed by inconsistencies in old case files, especially ones prematurely closed, began connecting dots. He grew suspicious of a hidden force manipulating events from the shadows. High-profile murders of businessmen, military leaders, clergymen, and politicians were drawing unwanted government attention. No one seemed safe anymore. Bruce's investigation reached a critical point just as Jack returned to the city. Jack was ambushed by 24 bonded pair agents, but he eliminated them all in a brutal battle inside an abandoned warehouse. When Bruce arrived at the scene, he was stunned. Forensic analysis revealed the bodies had no existing records. It was as if they never existed. That's when Bruce realized he was hunting ghosts. And somewhere, one ghost still lived, one far more dangerous than the 24 lying dead. Bruce filed a report and deployed a response team to the warehouse, but by the time they arrived, the place was spotless, erased like nothing had ever happened. His boss reprimanded him for protocol violations, but Bruce had picked up something before leaving, a pendant left on the floor, left deliberately by Jack, as a breadcrumb. Years ago, Bruce had heard rumors in a club whisper of a secret agency operating in the shadows. That story had always stuck with him. His grandfather, a decorated World War II veteran, had told him tales of a hidden force called the Shadows, an elite group formed to reshape and rebalance the world. These assassins operated beyond legal systems, correcting injustices too great for the law to handle. During the Cold War, they infiltrated German networks and helped turn the tide of war, even contributing to Hitler's downfall, though no history book would ever reveal their role. Their sacrifices had remained hidden from the world. Until now. Agent Bruce had grown up hearing his grandfather's stories, tales of a secret league of assassins known only as the Shadows. As a child, he dismissed them as nothing more than bedtime folklore, but now, as a seasoned investigator, those stories began to feel like echoes of a forgotten truth. Driven by curiosity, Bruce dug through his grandfather's old cabinet and uncovered faded photographs, coded journals, and classified-looking documents. It all pointed to a covert organization passed down through generations, far older than anyone in the agency had ever admitted. He brought the evidence to his superiors, only to be ridiculed. "This isn't a spy thriller," his boss snapped. "You want us to tell the public the assassins are part of a century-old secret society based on bedtime stories?" Bruce was slapped with a formal query and placed on immediate leave. But time was running out. Jack had been guiding Bruce the entire time, trying to expose Grandfather, the man who had corrupted the original Shadows and twisted it into a private army of chaos, using the board to manipulate nations for profit. Jack couldn't afford to lose his only ally now. Grandfather, sensing Jack's moves, ramped up efforts to track him. He hijacked nearby devices, phones, ATM speakers, traffic lights, digital billboards, even self-driving cars, to send cryptic warnings. Meanwhile, Jane, Jack's bonded partner, was leading a team with orders to bring him back to the agency for defying orders. With the help of Marcus, the young prodigy son of Sullivan, Jose, Jack hacked into the agency's mainframe. There, he discovered an upcoming charity masquerade ball hosted by the maternity hospital they were born to raise funds for mothers and children. It was the perfect cover. Masked, Jack could infiltrate the event, access the agency's secure systems, and retrieve damning files that could finally expose Grandfather. He dropped promotional flyers for the ball in areas where kids roamed just enough for Bruce to notice one. The hospital hosting the event held personal meaning for Bruce. Years ago, his son had nearly died, there from leukemia. Miraculously saved through classified medical treatments, that same boy had grown up to become one of the agency's most lethal assets unbeknownst to Bruce. The emotional connection drove him to attend the event. Meanwhile, Marcus discreetly added Bruce's name to the guest list. Jack infiltrated the hospital through the ventilation system, silently incapacitating an assassin guard, and assuming his identity. He navigated the corridors, heading toward Grandfather's secure vault, careful to avoid Jane, whose proximity could activate their psychic bond and blow his cover. He reached the files and downloaded them, but the silent alarm was triggered. Grandfather, delivering a speech in the ballroom, subtly signaled operatives disguised as doctors. They located Jack, and a brutal fight erupted, spilling into the ballroom. Amid the chaos, Agent Bruce caught sight of Jack, now unmasked. Recognition hit immediately. Jack, calm and composed, slipped away into the crowd. He sipped from a guest lady's champagne glass and vanished into the night to maintain the illusion of normalcy for the unknowing attendees. Bruce chased him into a nearby alley, gun drawn. "Freeze!" Bruce shouted. Jack turned slowly, holding a flash drive in his hand. "I've been hunting you for months," Bruce said. "No," Jack replied quietly. "I've been guiding you. Every step. The pendant, the warehouse, the fundraiser you're standing on, an X I marked for you." He paused, eyes locked on Bruce. "I'm 1,000 steps ahead. I live in the shadows." Just then, an explosion detonated behind them, a distraction Jack had said earlier. When Bruce looked back, Jack had vanished, leaving only the flash drive. The agency dispatched operatives to recover the drive, but Jack had already passed it on. Jane, sensing Jack's location through their dormant bond, led her team to a safe house. Jack didn't resist when they captured him. He let himself be taken for Jane's sake. Even as he was beaten and detained, Jack pleaded with Jane to see the truth. "The agency is compromised," he told her. "Check the files. Check the laptop. Sullivan's mission, it was never what we thought." Jane, conflicted, ordered Jack transferred to a black site. Grandfather was notified of the successful capture. But Jane stayed behind and opened Jack's laptop. Locked by a password, she tried several combinations before finally using her own birthday. It worked. Inside, she found Sullivan Jose's mission logs. The files revealed horrifying truths. The agency had executed an innocent man. Their operations, she learned, were dictated not by justice but by powerful billionaires and war profiteers hidden on the dark web. Her world crumbled. Grandfather was the enemy. And she had just betrayed the only man trying to stop him. Act 2, the shadows come to light. Everything Agent Bruce had warned the precinct about turned out to be true. Jane realized the agency was compromised from within. Meanwhile, Jane, realizing her fatal mistake, burst into action to rescue Jack. Deep inside a black site, Jack was being tortured by a bond pair of ruthless operatives, Abel and Christina. Mocking him, they taunted that Grandfather had always spoken so highly of him, yet here he was broken. While Abel stepped away to fetch a stronger electric clip, Christina leaned in, dangerously. Fascinated by Jack's strong abs and good looks. Just as they were about to finish him off, Abel asked, "Any last words?" Jack replied coolly, "What's your shoe size?" Confused, Abel asked why. Jack smirked. "Because I'm not walking out of here barefoot." He could already sense Jane's presence. She crashed through the chamber wall moments later, and in perfect sync, the two of them took down Abel and Christina with deadly precision. Jack took Abel's shoes and ensured he never missed a chance to walk out in style. As they made their way out, the facility was swarming with elite assassins. A brutal fight ensued. Jane found a car loaded with weapons while Jack stayed behind to settle scores. In 1 hour, he killed over 600 assassins of high value, an impossible feat, even by elite standards. Jane picked him up in a BMW Roadster with the roof already opened whilst moving into the passenger seat mid-drive as Jack took over the wheel. Back at FBI HQ, Agent Bruce and his team finally cracked the encrypted drive Jack had handed over. The bedtime stories Bruce's grandfather once told him about the shadows were real legends of assassins that had secretly preserved justice and balance for generations. The hospital on 24th Avenue, Manhattan, was a front. And the assassins? They weren't just real, they were the foundation of the unseen order. As Jack and Jane sped away, assassins, the FBI, the media and the police chased them relentlessly. They were anonymous no more. Across the country and all over the world, people were stunned to learn that these hidden assassins had lived among them all along. Regular civilians witnessed the most powerful duo on the planet, Jack and Jane, in high-power action. During the chase, Jack and Jane's car crashed. An FBI sniper from kilometers away had them pinned. With only a pistol, Jack shot out the sniper's zoom lens not to kill, but to send a message. They escaped in another car and kept driving towards the outskirts of the city. They ditched the car into a river and kept running on foot into the woods, but eventually tired they slept off, but unknown to them it was a farmer's haystack. The farmer Edgar, recognizing them from the news, a gut feeling in him, chose to help them for a few days. The next day around evening, while in the suburbs, they experienced life outside the agency for the first time. They went drinking, partying, even trying ecstasy pills. For once, they were just young people, not killers disguised as doctors or high-fashion models. And then, for the first time, they made love. At dawn on the third day, Jack told Jane they had to stop running. They prepared for war. Meanwhile, Agent Bruce, suspended and betrayed, chose to uncover the truth alone with his intern team, decoding ancient folktales that led them to know about the agency's hospital. As assassins approached the farmhouse, they were killed by Edgar's homemade explosives. But Jack had already infiltrated the agency itself, killing mind-controlled assassins and finally facing the man behind it all, Grandfather. Jack exposed the dark truth that Grandfather had betrayed the agency, used it to manipulate markets, fund wars, and topple governments. The board was in shock, but Grandfather activated the chip, and the few left assassins had no control of themselves. Even after hearing the truth, they attacked Jack and Jane. Jack had no choice but to kill them all. By the time the FBI stormed the building, Jack and Jane had vanished. The board members were arrested. The public was shaken. Families once told their children had died from complications now knew they had been stolen and trained as child soldiers. The US government issued a red notice. Jack and Jane were now the most wanted in the world. They both went to see their real families for the first time. Jane was already back from her twin sister's shop where she made cakes and coffee. She watched, and well, her sister couldn't ever know who she was, so she left. Jack also watched his twin sister play soccer from afar. She had a normal life. One was a soccer player in college while the other the most dangerous assassin on the planet. It was safe to say they are from different worlds. Their eyes met and there was a strange feeling as they once knew each other, perhaps like a broken connection between them. Then she turns away and hits the ball into the net. Jane and Jack then get on the motorbike and sped off. Still searching for answers, Jack and Jane traced the agency's roots to a suspicious plumbing company in Britain. They stormed the facility, killing every operative inside. At the top floor, they met a man who asked if they knew who he was. Jane replied coldly, "We're not your toys." A bullet ended his sentence. His ID revealed he wasn't a plumber, he was MI6. Another layer of secrets peeled away. With the agency's heart exposed and their origins tied to an even older global network, Jack and Jane vanish into legend, ghosts from the shadows, the last of their kind. But the world now knows the truth. The protectors we never saw were always among us. For more stories like this, please like and subscribe for more.